Okay, so I wanted to go ahead and enter and explain to you what you have to do for this week. So if we scroll down and move past the 16th, we are now moving to the 23rd. I'm just going to close that. So if you open up the 23rd, the 29th, it tells you that we're looking at classroom vocabulary, subject pronouns, and the verb stare. So if you open it up and you scroll down past the decorative picture, it tells you to study pages 28 and 26. And it tells you that after completing this assignment, you should be able to describe to others your classroom. You should know what the subject pronouns are, which are I, you, he, she, we, they, and in Spanish, as well as how to use them, and then how to conjugate the verb ser. So how to use ser when you want to say, like, I am from High Point, he is from High Point, she is from High Point, so that you're able to tell where different people are from or what different people are like. All the work is due by the end of the day on the 26th, and this particular these assignments address SLOs 1, 2, and 3. And some of you have asked some questions about SLOs. Okay, so I just pulled up your syllabus. They're in your syllabus, which you can find, if you go back out here, remember, on the left-hand side of our classes where you can find pertinent information for the class that's ongoing. Your syllabus is right there. So I pulled up the PDF version, and if you scroll down, this is what I mean by SLO, student learning outcomes. So I said for this week, the 23rd, that we will be addressing SLOs 1, 2, and 3. So you'll be looking, so the exercises that you do should help you to better use the present tense, to form independent sentences, to ask and answer questions independently, and to respond to native or near native speech on familiar topics. So it'll be focusing on your writing, your ability to answer questions, and your ability to speak Spanish. Those are the things that the activities will be assessing this week. Okay, so again, just like in weeks past, you should start by watching the instructor-made videos. If you open up here, these are videos that I've made that go over subject pronouns and ser, and that go over vocabulary on page 21. So I think it's the the vocabulary that's on page 21. Okay. All right, so after you've watched the vocabulary and the videos on SARE, on the subject pronouns in SARE, then just open up your class participation forum. Okay, so when you come back out here, after you've watched the instructor videos and posted in the participation forum, which is right here, just hit reply and post any questions or concerns you have about the material in the videos. And you definitely want to watch the videos because since we are either online or partially online, because I'm using the same video for all my 111 classes, this is information that you need in order to complete this week's work. So after you've done that, then it says that you have a test in My Language Labs, you have an oral dialogue to complete in My Language Labs, and you have assignment 5 to complete in My Language Labs. So when we go to My Language Labs, we're going to look for the test, we're going to look for the oral dialogue, and we're going to look for SAMs 130, 131, 132, 133, 134, 138, 139. And so also remember that there will be additional information on the calendar for the 26th. There will be probably some tutorials and some extra practice. That is stuff that you do not have to complete. It's just there in case you have extra time or you're struggling with something and you need extra practice. Also, before you do the oral dialogue, I would suggest checking out the blocks that are on the side here. You want to make sure your pop-up blockers are turned off, your browser tune-up is done. These videos explain how to do that. And then if you're still having trouble getting your microphone to work, you'll want to look at one of these videos, depending on whether you use Windows 7, Windows 10, or you have a Mac, so that you can play around and make sure your microphone is set up. Okay, so let's go out to My Language Labs and look at these assignments on the calendar. So for test 1, oral dialogue 1, and assignment 5, I'll just click on My Language Labs link. And then I'm going to sign in. So I'm going to pause it here because, you don't need to watch me sign in. Okay, so after you sign in, this is where you're going to be. Those links that I was telling you about that tell you how to deal with your browser tune-up, this is where it's going to take you, is to click on these and they'll explain to you what to do to make sure your browser tune-up is tuned up and your pop-ups are disabled. I would still look at the videos though, because I try to troubleshoot that for you guys. So since the week that we're talking about is the 26th, you'll click on the 26th. And then your activities should populate here. So you can see here's your SAM activities that you have to complete. These are tutorials. They're things that you do not have to complete. There's an extra practice activity, another one. Those are things that you do not have to complete. They're just there in case you need extra practice. You also have your oral dialogue and your test on chapter 1. So let's see if I can get into... Okay, so when you go into the oral dialogue, if everything is set up, you will play this right here.
¿Cómo estás?
Okay, so
¿Cómo estás?
you're gonna be asked a question. It tells you how would you respond to each. That says ¿Cómo estás? How are you doing? So I would say Muy bien, gracias. Okay, then you just play it back to make sure it did what you wanted it to.
Muy bien, gracias.
So if you're not hearing this, it was not recorded and I'm not going to get anything from you guys. So you'll go through, listen to each block and record your answer, and then you'll hit finish and submit for grading. Okay. For your test, you'll open up your test. Okay. So then the first thing says you've been selected to greet a group of international students at your university and need to practice some useful greetings and farewells. Listen to each question or statement and select the response that most likely follows. So you'll play.
Hola, ¿cómo está usted?
And then you would choose the answer that goes along with that question. So you'll go through and do that, and then you'll go to the next page. It says, es formal, you'll decide whether these statements are formal or informal, and just click formal, informal. Then here you'll complete the conversation logically by filling in the blanks with the appropriate words. Again, these are greetings, so you'll go over your greetings vocabulary and complete the paragraph, and then you will go to the next page. Okay. On the next page, you'll read these conversations to decide whether the statements below are true or false based upon what you read. Go to the next page. You'll write each word that has been spelled out for you. This is the spelling of the letters. Okay, so what they're saying is these are the letters and these are their spellings. So when you're doing this activity, you will see essay, okay, E-S-E, what letter is represented by essay? And you would go out here and you would find, here is essay, so you would write an S in the blank. That's what they're asking you to do in this activity. So then you go to the next page. This, your younger cousin is practicing for his math quiz tomorrow. Listen as he says each math problem aloud, then choose the option that matches the equation that you hear. So they'll read the numbers and then you decide whether which equation is being said here. Okay, this is math again. Choose the phrase that accurately expresses each equation below. Use the word bank to help you with your word choice. So you want to pick which of these written out is what is written here numerically. Okay, be careful here. This says you're responsible for keeping records of the number of international students that attend your university. As you look over the numbers, you realize that there's actually one less student per country than what is listed below. So here you're given a number, you need to write one less. So if this is 21, you should be, I'm sorry, this is 22, you should be writing 21. 15, you should be writing 14. So just be careful of that. And you are trying to explain, and remember too, if I go back, I'm sorry, if you need an accent mark, here's your accent mark. So if I needed like an O, I just click in the box where I need the O and I hit O and it'll populate right there. So make sure that you are including the accent marks in your answers. Here you're trying to explain to a friend of yours that dates are expressed differently in Spanish, but he just doesn't seem to understand, to help him write out each of the dates in a complete sentence. So today is, and remember that in Spanish, okay, remember in Spanish, they write it different than us. Today is, for us, would be 1/18. They would write this as 18/1 because they'd say, hoy es el 10, you can see it down here, hoy es el 18 de enero. So the first number in all of these is the day. The second one is the month. So be careful of that. And then lastly, select the word that you hear spelled out from each group. So you're going to hear a word spelled and you just click which one it is. Okay. And then when you're done with all that, you hit finish and submit for grading. And hopefully that explains to you everything that you need to do for this week in My Language Lab.